Welcome to Z's and Threes.
For three for the win, yes!
And boy, does it feel great to just be talking about basketball. There was a great slate of 6 games on Thursday night, and you could feel some juice injected into the competition level with the trade deadline in the rear view mirror. It's nice to get back to solely the action on the court with all the deals done, names where they will be for at least the remainder of the season. If you haven't, check out my 2 videos on all of the player movement, who ended up where and why. And also, if you're looking to know more about the collective bargaining agreement, aprons, luxury taxes, it's all there. Appreciate the love they've been getting. If you haven't yet, and you like the show, please do like, subscribe, share with a friend to stay in the know, as this is when the season really starts to get juicy. 6 games to wrap up. For Thursday, let's get it. If you're new to the show, we start out, as always, group chat game of the night. Kings Blazers. You may be thinking, why are we starting with Kings Blazers? Well, the West's best 5-game win streak for the Portland Trail Blazers coming into tonight was at stake. The Kings coming off a loss last night against the Orlando Magic, so travel back-to-back for them. Second game was Zach LaVine in the fold. Good game. 18 lead changes, 7 ties, but a 9-3 Blazers run late had them up 7 under 90 seconds to go. DeMar DeRozan made it interesting. A 3 to cut it to a 4-point deficit. But then Anthony Simons, pound dribble, sidestep 3. Big night for him. Made it. Pushed it back to a 7-point lead for the Blazers. Couple free throws for Simons later would ice the ball game. 108-102. The Blazers get their 6th consecutive victory. 10th of their last 11. Blazers at one point, I myself even left them for dead. Chauncey Billups and this young group are ballin'. 30 for Simons, 24 off the bench from Shaedon Sharpe. Still have some work to do to get into the play-in conversation. They will be at Minnesota on Saturday. That should be a good one, putting their 6-game win streak to the test. Kings falling 1 game below 500. Some great storylines, also some movement in the uber-competitive Western Conference amongst the other 5 games for the Thursday night slate. And we start with another team in the West looking to make it their 5th consecutive victory. The Denver Nuggets hosting those said Orlando Magic, both teams on a back-to-back. Still no Russell Westbrook for Denver and no Jamal Murray tonight for this back-to-back game, but they still have Nikola Jokic, so it was no problem. Another league-leading triple-double for the 3-time MVP, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. Michael Porter Jr. has been heating it lately. 3rd consecutive 30-point game. This one was a 30 even. The Magic, once again, under 100 points scoring. Denver wins 112-90, and they had a chance to move into 3rd place in the West with a Rockets loss, who were in the Twin Cities taking on the Wolves. It was a scrappy game. Jayshawn Tate and Anthony Edwards, then Dylan Brooks and Anthony Edwards, Jock Landale and Naz Reid all got better acquainted across the course of the game. The Wolves, though, a closing quarter, won them the game of 35-16 in the 4th. It included 16 points from Anthony Edwards, who looked like he was going to be the heavy pour leading scorer of the night. 41 total for the contest, including an unethical 14 of 15 from the free throw line. But he dropped 41. Sign me up for 7 games of these 2 teams in the playoffs. I think it would be really, really good. The league recognizing such, they flexed out a Mavs-Pelican matchup from a national window for the next meeting between these 2 teams that will occur on February 21st. Minnesota trying to muscle their way into the top 6 teams. Remember, 1 through 6 guaranteed into the playoffs. 7 through 10, that play-in band, you have to play your way in. And Minnesota could get there with a Clippers loss. They were hosting the Pacers for Indiana, the 3rd game on the road. They are coming off a loss at Portland. For the Clippers, coming off a loss of their own at the hands of the Lakers. 3-point Pacers lead at half. it would move to a 5-point Clippers lead with 3:31 left. But a 12-0 run from there on in, Indianapolis would earn the win. Forced 19 Clippers turnovers, score 32 points off of a 33-point game from All-Star Pascal Siakam. Which All-Star team will he be on? Yes, it is a different format this year. If you don't know, I got you. Find out later on what team he will play for, and I'll give you a refresher on the All-Star format. Pacers, they get their 29th win to 21 losses. They stay 4th in the East. The Clippers fall out of the 6, swapping spots with the Wolves up into the playoff spots. So opportunity for both the Lakers and the Warriors, giving chase in the West to make up respective grounds on the teams they were chasing. Lakers hosting the Warriors, Steph, LeBron. It was a big Lakers lead from the jump. It ballooned to 26 at one point, but the Warriors whittled it down to 6 in the third period. Lakers push it back to 11 entering the fourth. Looked like it was going to get good. The Warriors cut it to 6 again with just 2 minutes left. Steph had back-to-back looks from 3 to make it a one-possession deficit. Couldn't get them to go. The Lakers get it across the finish line, 120-112. A historic night for LeBron. More on that later. He had 42 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists. It best the 37 points from Steph Curry. Lakers have now won 4 in a row. They have 30 wins to 19 losses. A trio of teams in the West, all with 19 losses. But the Lakers, the least amount of wins. They're 2 wins behind Houston's 32 and 3 wins behind Denver's 33. News as to when they will incorporate Luka Doncic to their in-game on the court as well. That's coming in injuries and news. Finally, his former team, Luka Doncic, the Mavs, the Celtics, the Mavs. They've heard all the talk. Everybody's saying, these Mavs are done, leaving them for dead. And boy, did they show up, ready to clock in Boston. Still no Anthony Davis, was on the sideline. Will he make his debut this weekend? We will see. But what better opponent to have than the defending champs in the Celtics if you want to make a statement that says, look, we still got some guys here. Boston led at 4-3, but it was all Dallas from there on out. It was vintage Klay Thompson in this one. 25 points on 11 of 17 shooting. He made just 3 threes, so Klay was working the mid-range, working the jumper, doing old vintage Klay things. Spencer Dinwiddie helped him out, chipping in with 22. Najee Marshall with 20, and Kyrie Irving 19 against one of his former teams. Dallas led by 27, but Boston had a 28-9 run in the fourth, made it more aesthetically pleasing, but still a loss nonetheless for the Celtics. 127-120 victory. I may be contrarian on this. I've heard some other analysts. I'm no analyst, but my opinion here, count me as intrigued for this Dallas group. They have a very formidable front line with Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Anthony Davis, PJ Washington. Interesting. Long-term, trading Luka away, I think, is bad, but in the short term, we'll see. I'm intrigued. Mavs will do a Saturday matinee in Dallas, hosting the Houston Rockets. Promise y'all, and I will graphically give you standings moving forward. If you're listening on podcast and you haven't checked the show out on YouTube, please go over. Do check it out. Like and subscribe while you're there. You get a bunch of other visuals to go along with. So standings. Let's talk the Western Conference. That's where things are really interesting. Currently, 6 games behind Oklahoma City is the Memphis Grizzlies. Behind them, the Denver Nuggets, 2.5 at the 3. Now, they are a half game ahead of the Houston Rockets in the 4, who are a full game ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers in the 5, who are 2.5 games ahead of the Minnesota Timberwolves in the 6th seed. So 2 through 6, separated by, well, that's 7 losses between the Grizzlies and the Wolves. But all those 3 teams, as mentioned, the Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, all with 19 losses. Behind there, the Clippers, now a half game trailing Minnesota, the Timberwolves, and the Dallas Mavericks a game and a half behind the Clippers. It's Suns, Kings, Warriors right now. The Warriors at 25-26, the same amount of losses as the San Antonio Spurs, but the Spurs just 22 wins, so they are a game and a half behind them for 11th. Could the Spurs or Blazers now at 23-29, they're 2.5 games behind the Warriors, but all of those teams would have to find a way to get up into the 10 spot to at least be in the play-in. Remember, 7, 8, 9, and 10 go through the play-in, and 2 of those teams will take the 7 and the 8 spots. Nothing interesting or warranting mentioning amongst the games tonight within the Eastern Conference set. Heavy Pour leading score of the night presented by Portland Water. Boom. Visit them at drinkpdxwater.com. Your boy's been battling a cold, so gotta stay hydrated. You should always stay hydrated. They ship. Check them out. LeBron James, 42 points, a point for every year, +2. And I mentioned history for LeBron, yet another milestone. He is the second player in NBA history, 40 or more years in age, to score 40 or more points. Michael Jordan did it 6 times. Dunk of the night, we're going to give it to Terrence Shannon Jr. of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Had a nice tomahawk jam coming from the corner. Performance of the night, well, let's go back to LeBron James at 40 with 42 as his team is gearing up for a playoff push. History once again for the man that just continues to write entries into the NBA record books. Injuries and news. If you have questions about player movement and the trade deadline, well, I did a whole episode earlier today about who went where and why, and I broke it out by contending teams from 1 through 6, top contenders, teams that were in the playoffs as of today earlier when I recorded it, and then the fringe teams as well, play-in teams, and teams that will be playing for later down the road. So check out that video. You'll get everything that you need to know in terms of who ended up where and why. Lost in the sauce, Lonzo Ball. After having not played an NBA game for over 1,000 days. In the month of January, averaging 24 minutes per game. Over the last few days, he was the recipient of a new 2-year, $20 million contract extension, preventing him from becoming a free agent this summer. Mentioned Luka Doncic. The reporting is that he will make his Lakers debut Monday against the Jazz. And speaking of players coming back to the court, West leading Oklahoma City Thunder will open some eyes when they traded for Daniel Tice, but it was just Sam Presti in the front office acquiring another second-round pick. But Chet Holmgren, their big man, starting center, he will be back Friday against the Raptors, having missed 39 games, a 12-week absence with his broken hip. The Thunder were 8-2 record-wise with Holmgren before he went down with the injury. All-Star teams drafted tonight on TNT by their 3 respective coaches, Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet, and Shaquille O'Neal. If you are unfamiliar with how the All-Star game is working, this year there will be 4 teams, 3 of which will be comprised by the player pool of the All-Star starters, 5 of which came from each conference, along with the 7 reserves, the 5 starters chosen by the fans, media, and players. The 7 reserves from each conference were chosen by the coaches in the respective conferences. Those players were all put into a player pool, of which Chuck, Kenny, and Shaq drafted from tonight to create their 3 teams. Charles drafted Giannis, SGA, Nikola Jokic, Donovan Mitchell, Alperen Şengün, Pascal Siakam, Karl Anthony Towns, and Victor Wembanyama. Kenny went with Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Jaren Jackson Jr., Evan Mobley, and Jalen Williams. Kenny drafted all guards. And Shaq went with the most cliche team ever, Jaylen Brown, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, James Harden, LeBron James, Damian Lillard, and Jason Tatum. Sometimes I wonder if Shaq actually watches the league. I think Chuck, hands down, drafted the best team that you could put on the floor. That is a damn good team. Those three teams, along with the fourth that will be comprised of players from the Rising Stars game between the rookies, sophomores, and G Leaguers, will comprise the four teams that will face off in 2 games in a first to 40. And then the 2 winners of that will play one another for a champion in the new All-Star format. Where will they be playing? Well, in San Francisco. And what will they be wearing and what court will it be on? Well, that released as well. Let me show you those. The NBA All-Star Game uniform. Well, the navy and light blue uniforms. It is a design pattern on the side of the jersey and shorts that represents the roots of Oakland's iconic oak trees. The belt buckle has an image of an oak tree, and the vertical font on the jersey is inspired by Oakland's Theater District, a city which the Golden State Warriors abandoned. The red uniforms, a side pattern that highlights the cable car lines that wind through San Francisco. The belt buckle on the shorts has an image of the city's famous cable car, and the jersey front reflects the movement of a cable car climbing over San Francisco's hills. Across all of the uniforms, an all-star logo on the right chest that incorporates bridge lines reminiscent of the Golden Gate and Bay bridges, and 74th Annual is featured above the black jock tag of every jersey. Here's a look at the court. The verbiage from the NBA. The patterns, textures, and iconography incorporate elements reflective of the renowned architecture, landmarks, and imagery distinct to the San Francisco Bay Area, the Golden Gate and Bay bridges, the water, cable car lines, and undulating streets. The unique artwork aligns with an area widely regarded as the epicenter of innovation. The court is flooded with the Warriors' vibrant blue and yellow color palette, which combined with the graphics generates the dynamic energy and excitement that is synonymous with the NBA. Okay, I'm going to stop reading that. That's the court. I like it. I'm with it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. One more look at the uniforms. Here is the front and the back for the red. You know that I have been highly critical of all-star uniforms in years past. This is a win, especially across the 3 colorways. This is a massive improvement from where the league has been with their all-star uniforms over the last, I want to say, decade, maybe 2 decades. 2 thumbs up. Yes, I like what they're doing with these NBA all-star uniforms. If you haven't yet, go check out my uniform rankings. I have 2 videos breaking down the best and the worst uniforms across the NBA this season. House shoes. Kickscam has the night off. Got some SB dunks. Black and green. And I want to ask you, because I have pondered this over the last 4 or 5 days, do you actually like basketball? Because I wonder, for some folks, I have watched over the last couple days the amount of voices, reporters, people that are associated with the NBA media industrial complex come out and all of a sudden have an opinion, have sources, citing reporting, toxic locker rooms, yada, yada, yada. And have we gotten to the point where people just like the idea of playing basketball? Drafting, trading, trade deadline, roster management, the drama, more than they like the actual on-court drama. Because me, that's what I sign up for. I turn the game on at tip-off, if you can figure out when that is now. Because there is plenty of drama on the court. And I have said repeatedly over and over and over, I think that the storylines for this season are amazing. That is why I'm here doing this at Z's and Threes, is to bring you guys a concise format to take you through the woven storylines of the NBA season, in which so many things happen, but we ultimately crown a champion. But I wonder these days, maybe some of y'all are that way, and to each their own. I'm not telling you what to like. But for me, I love the game of basketball. I love it at every level. And that's why I love the NBA, is because it is played at the highest level with the best players in the world. But this last handful of days, it has brought an immense amount of eyeballs to the NBA, which is a good thing for the league. That 2-3 months ago, the conversation was, why does nobody care? Well, it seems that a lot of people care now. So now what do they do with it? Because the product on the court has to follow up rather than it just be the drama cycle. And I think the league, the teams, and everybody associated with it is well positioned to have an epic conclusion to this season. I think that the title fight is completely up in the air. There could be 8 teams that win the NBA title. There will be just one team. But of those 8 teams right now within the mix that I could see competing or winning a title. So, if you like basketball, now's the time. Come on, join in. That is everything that you need to know from the Thursday that was in the NBA. Still trying to get up to speed with the trade deadline and what player ended up where. I got you. As mentioned, I did a who went where and why episode for the NBA trade deadline. You can check that out, bring you up to speed with everything that you need to know. What to watch this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Friday night, Slim Pickens, Cavs Wizards, just for the simple fact they have inverse records, 41-10 to 9-41. But Saturday, it is chock full of bangers. Rockets Mavs, Pacers Lakers, Thunder Grizzlies, Blazers Wolves, Celtics Knicks. It is a great day for basketball, especially if you're a fan of basketball. Who you got in the Super Bowl on Sunday? Because after that, well, it is all NBA. We will be back on Monday to bring you up to speed with everything that you might have missed. If you like the show, we'll have you liked, subscribed, and shared with a friend because, as always, Z's and Threes has got you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Peace.